So for about the last about 22, 23 years, I've been a school leader just like you, teacher before that. So for the last 13, 14 years, I was an elementary school principal for the last 2 years here in the DC area. Before that, I was elementary and middle school principal at the American School in Cape Town, South Africa, Cody. And then before that, for 6 years here in Washington, DC, as an elementary principal as well. And then before that, I taught fifth grade, both public, private school, for almost 10 years. Fast forward to now, my dad passed away. It'll be about a year coming up middle of November. The decision was made at that time for me to resign my principalship position and, temporarily, short term, long term, who knows, step into supporting his very small commercial real estate firm, which I did continue to do. But in terms of sort of my time during the day, that doesn't require a ton of my time as maybe being a principal did before. And so a couple months ago, like I said, Corvessa was born out of this vision to how I can meaningfully continue to sort of be in the school sector, support schools, but obviously through a very, very different lens. One that I think is top of mind for a lot of people, AI, but that typically is more of the student-facing AI applications and tools and
Right.
programs that are out there, and maybe not so much sort of back-end operations, communications, website, things like that on behalf of schools and school districts. So yeah, and so we're just about 2 months into Corvessa. Like I said before, a little more than 2 months. We're almost up to 20 episodes of the podcast, and then right now working directly with 3 or 4 schools to build custom AI tools.
Awesome.
One hopefully signs the contract pretty soon for just an AI website agent. So prospective families, current families can go on there and interact in a much more, I think, meaningfully way, and not have to go digging for information on a website, which again, that can apply to public school, private school, parochial, it doesn't really matter, that agent specifically. It tends to be more so independent schools, Cody, just because from a decision-making process, it's easier for them sort of as a standalone institution to make
Yeah.
decisions. But of course, these tools are not unique to independent schools in any way, right? So, but yeah, we have tools that support communication for schools, like I said, website, admissions. So it really is, if somebody can dream it up, then likely, I don't want to say for sure, but likely we can build a tool to support them. So yeah, so
That's
so
cool.
again, too much into it. I feel like there's a really good positive momentum behind it, and then we'll continue from there.
That's cool. That's interesting that you have interesting background. I'd love to spend time just learning about that, right? South Africa is one
Yeah,
of my
for
bucket
sure.
list places to go visit. So
Yes. Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Kruger National Park and see Cape Town, but
Yeah, no, the U.S. dollar goes a lot farther in a place like South Africa than it does right now in the U.S. or
oh,
other
yeah,
places
yeah,
around the world. You can really maximize the trip there for sure. So
really cool.
I'm going to go ahead and just ask you formally to introduce yourself and anything you want
Yeah.
sort of the audience to know in terms of your educational journey, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so Cody Rich, principal of the Impact Center for Leadership and Innovation. It's a new venture for our district. We're a public school. We're the fourth largest public school district in the state of Kentucky. Warren County Public Schools. And our three priorities are safety, achievement, and opportunities. And this was kind of built out of the opportunities section of that those three priorities. And just a little bit about me. Grew up close to here, not in Warren County, but in a real rural area and in Kentucky, South Central Kentucky. Actually, we're one of the only counties in the continental United States without a stoplight. So if you've heard of
Oh,
the entire county, so if you've heard of Mammoth Cave National Park, that's where I grew up, really close to Mammoth Cave National Park. And I bounced around after high school a little bit, flirted with some college basketball, then ended up going to medical school after my undergrad, then just realized I didn't love it. I was away from home, couldn't go home on the weekends, couldn't see my family. So literally in a windowsill. I grew up in a family of educators. Well, my mom and dad were. My dad was an educator, former principal. Mom worked for the school board here in Warren County. So literally in a windowsill at medical school, I decided that I was leaving. And I called my parents and then asked them if I just told them I was coming home. And I remember packing up my stuff at night because I didn't want to see people. I didn't want people to see me leave.
right.
And just made my way in a trailer back home. Started the journey of figuring out what I want to do with my life, and ended up doing a master's program in teaching through Western Kentucky University. And I had a biology and chemistry degree already for my undergraduate. So ended up teaching biology and coaching, and fell in love with it. Both actually. Loved the building relationships part with students, and loved seeing kids learn and on the basketball court, but in the classroom as well. And that kind of led naturally to my rank one, which is what I got that in
Mhm.
administration sometime after getting my master's. Ended up getting a principal job here in Warren County. assistant principal at a high school, one of the 4 local high schools here, Warren Central High School, assistant principals. Did that for 3 years, then got a job at an elementary school as principal. Was very successful because the people I surrounded myself with, they were just amazing, and we had a really good couple years there. And then this opportunity came about, finished my doctorate up, and then this opportunity came about pretty quickly after I got my first principalship. So we've been building the Impact Center for 2 years. We're going to start in August 2026. Really neat. It's been a really cool adventure. We kind of spent the last year traveling across the state. So we've been to a lot of different states, but about 60 different innovation schools, and not just innovation schools, but just different types of schools in the United States, private, public. Been to California several times, Colorado several times, Texas, Florida, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, obviously. Just traveling Minnesota, trying to see the best of the best, so we could try to bring those things back and kind of put a super school together, so to speak, for our kids here in Warren County. So kind of where I'm at right now. It's starting to get into the nitty gritty stuff. So I've got a couple employees that work with me, and they're diving in deep now into scheduling, and our applications close in about 3 weeks. So it's our first venture in our district at doing an application system. So it's all new to us, but we're rolling with the punches, so to speak. So it's been good.
Right. That's awesome. So then will the school act more like a charter school in that sense because it's application based, or no, still obviously public school within the public school system there?
Yeah, it's public school. It's within the public school system. It's only open to our district.
Okay.
At this point in time. So what it is 30% lottery, or 30% merit, 70% lottery. So 30% of our kids will come through a merit-based system where we look at test scores, grades, behavior, attendance, and then the lottery portion will come straight from lottery, obviously, just a random lottery in our district. And we'll divide the spots up between our 4 area feeder schools, our 4 area feeder systems. So we kind of have 4 feeder systems. They culminate in a high school. Multiple elementary schools, and so it's built on the premise of 30% lottery, 70%, 30% merit, 70% lottery.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And then I guess my next question, logical follow up here, sort of, what's going to be the Impact Center's sort of core mission? I think you spoke about this, a couple weeks ago. And then, I'm just curious to know, are the other high school principals pissed off because you're going to be taking some of their best students potentially, right?
I think they're more upset. I don't think they're upset. First, and let me say that I have a great relationship with them coming from the high schools.
Yeah, sure.
And middle schools. We're the 3rd largest city in the state of Kentucky, but we're still pretty tight knit. Still kind of small town feel here in Warren County and Bowling Green. So we're pretty good. We're friends, I would say, with most of the principals, if not all of them in the district. So I would say that they're not upset, but they do have the realization that there's going to be some of their students leaving. But more concerning is the teacher allocations that are going to be maybe moving. So we're trying to find ways to be creative with that. And I just told them that you would never want to decimate an entire content area or something like that. But they understand. We're having 20-something schools inside of one county. You're competitive anyway, so teachers are always bouncing back and forth to different schools anyway. So it's no different than that. It's just on an elevated scale because it's a brand new school opening. Yeah, they've been great to work with though. So
yeah, no, for sure. And then very quickly, I guess, how will you be sort of distinguishing yourself from the other high schools? Because again, like you said, for the 70% that are going to try to lottery in, there has to be a reason for them to want to enter the lottery.
Yeah. So we're Franklin Covey, who is Stephen Covey started Franklin Covey Leadership Group, and his son Sean Covey is over the school leadership portion of that. It's called Leader in Me. So we're Franklin Covey's first model leadership school at secondary level. They're built on the premise of leadership, right? In our entire district, we have the most lighthouse schools in the nation or in the world, and inside of one district. But we're kind of building on this model of what's called life ready leadership, which is 8 micro-credentials in leadership, which all culminate in student leadership projects. So every student that graduates Impact Center will have to lead leadership projects that they self-develop for each module. And then also we have a very high flair for innovation in the sense of we have 18 innovative career pathways. We worked with our Chamber of Commerce to do 5 to 10 year workforce projections in our area, but in the state of Kentucky and in the United States even, to try to offer things and build things that aren't necessarily they're needed now, but they're setting kids up for future ventures and future workforce. I mean, we have some really really innovative things going on in the sense of we just wrote the first AI pathway for the state of Kentucky with IBM and Georgia Tech in their Institute of Technology. We'll pilot that for the state as the only school in the state to have that pathway next year, in hopes that it's offered to the entire Commonwealth the following year. We're also the only school in the world that IBM's ever allowed to offer their industry certificates in AI, cyber, and data to high school students. So it's a special partnership we've developed with IBM, which is great for us. So kids that go through those pathways will not only get industry certifications, but they'll get the IBM certificates as well. And then we have flares of that innovation in all of our 5 academies. Budding from, we're building a hangar at the airport where kids will get to build airplanes, and then we're going to put kids through private licensure via scholarship. We're working with the Nursing Board of Kentucky right now to develop our own LPN and RN program, where we credential and certify and degree students with an RN degree, associate's degree of nursing. So there's flares of innovation. So I would say what sets us apart, our schools here are amazing. So it's hard to set yourself apart from an amazing school district. And you don't really want to, we're a district school, which is great. So we're not really trying to compete with the other schools in the sense of we're not opening up a new sport team. We're not going to have a school with sports or band, or we're not going to be competing with them on extracurriculars. So it's great that you can kind of build one place for a lot of innovation and set the stage for innovation and leadership in your district to kind of make every other school better, right? So our goal is not only to do great for us, but to make every school better in our district, but also in the state and in the nation. It's really, we're looking forward and trying to be progressive in the sense that we want to find the best way to do education that works best for our students, and then try to model that across the nation to improve our education system.
Yeah, that's very cool. I think you can let your superintendent know that I think this is good shit. Good shit. That's a technical education term we use, right? That's a very fancy education term that we use. Yeah. I forgot to say this earlier. This is just a small world thing, and I didn't know him well, but your governor and I went to college together.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We were down at Vanderbilt together. Yeah.
I've met his wife several times. I've obviously seen him. I've never really met him, but I've met his wife. His wife visited our school several times 2 years ago. So yeah, and again, I don't really know him well, and politics aside, I just share that quick anecdote that I went to school with him. That's cool. That's really neat. I didn't know he went to Vanderbilt, honestly.
Yeah, he did. Now you learned something new today.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I remember right, you were saying before you coached the girls basketball, right, at one of the high schools? Yeah,
I coached. I coached girls. I was head coach of girls basketball, assistant coach of boys basketball at different times, obviously, and then head track coach at Franklin Simpson High School. And then I ended up coming closer to home, worked for a year as assistant coach of boys basketball team here in town. And then when I became an administrator, that kind of went away, right? So
gotcha. Yeah, no,
I love coaching. I kind of
I do too.
I kind of equate my leadership to coaching, right? Like that's what it is. It's coaching.
Yeah, no, for sure. Curious to know, as you've gone through this process to develop a new school. I've never gone through it as a school leader. Mm-hmm. Must be a unique process. What are, not early returns, but what are the parents sharing with you guys in terms of what excites them most about this opportunity for maybe their child to go, and I think it's important you said earlier about, like, they still get to play sports, let's say at their neighborhood high school, maybe maybe they're on a football team, so they're not leaving sort of those people behind, but like, what are parents saying in terms of, why they either choose to go through the lottery, maybe coming up here or now, or, their kids applying through the merit-based system?
Yeah, I think it depends on what the kid's desire is, honestly. So some parents are super excited about our pathways and our innovative side of kids getting credentialed with certifications that are industry standard, whether it be SolidWorks for engineering, CAD design, or FAA written and private pilot licensure. So some of them are just really excited about the offerings that we're going to have at the school. There's a niche of students and parents that are super excited about our early college programs. So we're going to have early college degree programs where kids earn up to 2 full years of early college with the university, or an associate's degree or applied associate's degree with a local community colleges. And we can really do that with most things that students want. So we have some college flair to us in the sense that we have a major minor system at our school, so kids don't have to just choose one pathway. They can have a major and then have minors. We have Flex Fridays where kids create their own schedule every Friday. to self-schedule themselves in the classes that they're interested in, and that we have diverse offerings on that day. So a lot of people are excited about early college. There's a lot of people just excited about the innovation side of things. And then we're going to try to do as much project-based learning and authentic learning as possible at our school. In connection with industry partners and community partners. Aside from the leadership, there's another group that's just super excited. The industry is more excited about the leadership aspect of things, right? So when we met with our industry partners, we had 3 to 4 meetings with what we called sectors, which were essentially divided up into our 5 academies. So we had an engineering sector meetings, we had a medical arts sector meetings. They really stirred the direction of where we were headed with our academies, right? We just want you to graduate people that have soft skills, right? We just want soft skills. We want kids that can learn. We want kids that are moldable, that understand that show up to work on time. They can't come rolling out of bed. They have to be professionally dressed if they need to be. And we have this high-rated leadership curriculum that's 4 years of intense curriculum. And they're going through it at the elementary school and middle school levels too in our district. Kindergarten, now preschool, all the way through 12th grade of leadership training. That really is just teaching kids how to be good employees, how to be good people in life, how to be leaders of their own selves, and how to be productive citizens. So there's the industry section of the community is super excited about the leadership part of our school, right? Parents tend to be more excited about the programming that we're offering. Kids tend to be more excited about the programming we're offering. We tell them we're going to have 25 flight simulators that are some of them full motion simulators. They're getting in the cockpit and flying. We're going to be able to go to the airport. We're going to be able to fly drones. Kids get super excited about that stuff. Right. Dual credit classes as a high school student are $90 per credit hour for every state university, right? So, in every state college. Whereas some local universities around us are almost $500 per credit hour.
And so, like that student who they get the early college credit, are they required then to go to one of those universities, or can they apply that college credit?
Yeah, so we have an advising system. So every teacher will act as an advisor. So one aspect of that advising system is that teachers know where kids want to go to college. They know what they want to go to college for, and even if they want to go to college, so you can come to our school and not do any early college, right?
Right. Yeah.
You can focus on industry certifications, wanting to go to work after you get out of industry, starting your own business. We have a business startup and Kickstarter in our school as well. But the advisor's role is to find out what that kid wants to do, where they want to be, and down to the degree of what school they want to go to, so that we can make sure our counselors are checking with those colleges to see what transfers. So if our local college and university doesn't transfer to Harvard, for instance, where can they give us, I'm sure they don't do a lot of dual credit at Harvard, and places like Harvard, even at Vanderbilt, but they will accept some general ed courses and a lot of AP classes. If you pass AP classes with the 4 or 5, usually they accept some credits.
Yeah.
So our goal is not to waste kids' time with dual credit and money and take money from kids that is not going to transfer where they want to go, right? We don't want to waste their time and put them through classes that they don't need. So that's our take on making sure kids get what they need to go places. And it's kind of weird, even in the state of Kentucky, for instance, Western Kentucky University requires History 150 for education majors. Well, UK requires History 180. So if you don't know that and the kid takes History 150 with Western, but really wants to go to UK, then you're just taking a class you don't need, right? So we're trying to prevent that as much as possible.
Like you said, wasting time.
Yeah.
And Western Kentucky, they're the Hilltoppers, right, Cody? Do I remember that?
Yes, sir. Hilltoppers.
Yeah, buddy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's right.
Our big red, big hill.
That's right. Curious to know, you mentioned the different sectors, which is fantastic. And then you had said even before that, obviously not wanting to sort of not pillage staff from different schools. So then what will be the staffing model? Are you going to pull like industry experts into the school to teach? Are high school teachers going to try to learn? Because I imagine, I don't want to assume this to be the case, but like if you have an engineering pathway, more than likely the person in front of the kids probably needs to be an engineer, right?
Right. So it differs for different content areas, obviously. So our core content areas will most likely be people certified to teach English, math, science, social studies. We are looking for people with 30 hours or more with the graduate hours to teach, so they can teach dual credit classes. And if not, we're looking to do a grow your own program where if they don't have that 30 hours, we put them through it if they agree to stay with us for so long. But then some of your industry and pathway courses and pathways and academies, you're right, they're coming from industry. You do get lucky sometimes, like for instance, our 2 engineering teachers we have on staff right now. That are helping plan engineering pathways. They actually teach in our district, but they have one has a master's from Vanderbilt in electrical engineering, and the other has a master's from Tennessee Tech in engineering. So they both have master's degrees in electrical engineering, but they've been teaching for 10 years, right? So you get lucky sometimes with those people, but other than that, Kentucky has the state KDE says that a teacher has to have 2 out of the last 5 years of relevant work experience and at least an associate's degree, and they can get what's called work-based certification.
Got it.
So we would be pulling from industry at that point. Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Yeah, and this is a complete aside. I was just sitting here thinking, and there's no answer required now, but I was lucky enough to go to Harvard for my graduate program for school leadership,
So,
where I got my master's. So, this is something you can think about further down the road. But if there's any way for me to lend sort of my leadership experience, expertise to support the school in any way, I don't know if it's teaching a class how that would work, but from afar, obviously. But yeah, just would love to lend any support in that way that I can.
be awesome. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind for sure. We're
Yeah.
not yet hiring. So we have to wait till February to even hire staff, which is kind of a weird date. It's the state of Kentucky. It's the law in the state of Kentucky. We can't hire staff till February.
Well, yeah,
For the next
and
year.
it may
So
not even be you hiring me. It could
yeah,
be,
yeah, yeah.
a
Consulting or anything like
consultant
that.
thing,
Yeah,
or for fun,
yeah,
whatever it is. Who
yeah.
knows? But just sitting here thinking about the leadership, like you were saying, and
No, for
I
sure,
think, like you
definitely.
said, that the tie into coaching, right? Coaching, is so much
Yeah.
about that too. So, yeah, no, I think it's great. I'll give you sort of the last couple words here. I guess first thing, would love to know, looking ahead 3 to 5 years, what do you think schools should be thinking more about? And when I say schools, it doesn't matter. It could be public, private, just in general, as we think about, you know, the environment around schools having changed a lot, what parents are looking for probably changing a lot these last 3 to 5 years. So what would you say to school leaders at any school that they should be thinking about? And then again,
Yeah.
last word, I'll let you share anything either about yourself, about Impact Center, whatever it is, before we end up here.
Yeah, so for me, I think aside from safety, I think that's always got to be your number one priority as a school leader. Finding ways to build on authentic learning environments. The kids are going through authentic experiences that they're gonna, and it's not just sit and get looking at a book, or it's more getting out in the community, partnering with community partners. A more individualized learning. I think that we are really trying to make sure that kids are looked at as individuals and not one for all kind of thing. It's more of a what do you want out of your school, and what do you want to do when you graduate, to make sure that we set them up the best way possible. We're really focused at the Impact Center on authentic learning experiences that are driven by these innovative pathways that are also driven by 5 to 10 year workforce projections, and knowing that some kids don't really want that certification because they want to go get a degree and they know what they want to do. So even setting those kids up so our kids they don't necessarily have to come get a certification with us. They can come do early college. They can come get certifications. They can get multiple certifications. It's really based on what that student wants, and we want to make sure we monitor that because we know it could change, right? So I would say that our outlook and at the Impact Center is not only to do that, but also be a beacon for other schools to see, like, we're going to be like an experiment, right? So I tell my staff that if the only thing that you have to be able to do, one of the things I need to make sure you understand is that things will change, right? So because any good thing probably failed the first couple of times they tried to make it, right? So I look at us as an experiment for education, in the sense of we're trying to find the best ways to do education in a lot of different aspects, right? How to do the best way to do CT education, best way to do instructional core education, the best way to do individualized education and make it authentic for every student, right? So, no, other than we're going to open in August 2026, we've already had we didn't expect this, but we've already had about 700 visitors. So through Franklin Covey and through other organizations coming to visit our school that are interested in what we're doing. So if anybody wants to visit, or you want to visit at any time, just let us know. And I would advise you coming after August of 2026 so you can see the building finished.
Right. Well, that was my last question. So are you done with the physical plant yet, or no, not yet?
No, not yet.
No.
It's a large project.
I'm
It's
sure.
getting there. They just put all the windows in, put some doors in, but there's still very much a lot of construction to be done at the Impact Centers. We're hoping that it's done by August 2026, but there's 4 phases, and we're looking at the last phase not being done until December of 2026. So we may be moving in a little bit early before it's done. But we'll be mostly done and ready to visit in August 2026. All these visitors coming now, I'm like, you need to come back, right? So.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. And then, obviously you can let me know in the future if you talk to the superintendent or anybody sort of in central office, and they feel like they'd like to continue the conversation with me
Yeah.
and Corvessa about any way that we could possibly support you guys too as a school district, or even at the school level, right? For,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where, we could do something for just your school website or something to trial something to see how it goes. But happy to continue that conversation at a later date.
Yeah. So you went to Vanderbilt for undergrad, right?
I did, yeah.
What'd you do in your undergrad?
Yeah, so I was technically a double major. I was elementary ed and anthropology, and I just sort of
Okay.
tacked on the anthropology because it was interesting to me. And truthfully, I'd already taken a couple of anthro as part of sort of intro classes that also were able to go towards the education major. But I was at
That's
the
cool.
I was at the Peabody School there for elementary ed. Yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you got
yeah,
to go to
yeah.
Harvard for grad school. That's really cool.
I did, yeah. No, I was very fortunate to go there. And yeah, I actually got into Harvard and the University of Pennsylvania, and the only reason I chose Harvard is their program is a year and Penn's is 2 years. And truthfully, now that I look back on it, I probably would have benefited from the 2 year program. And what I say
Yeah.
that is Harvard's program was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're in class. Tuesday, Thursday, you're a principal intern at a local school,
Okay.
right? So it's full
That's pretty
time in
cool.
terms of so they
Oh,
essentially get
wow.
a free administrator for a year. So you're trying to balance classes three
Wow.
days a
Yeah.
week, then on school site 2 days a week. Whereas Penn does the full
So it's
year
full
of
time.
all your coursework and then a full year of principal
Wow.
internship, and that to me probably would have been more meaningful. It also is an extra year.
Yeah. And I'm sure the Harvard degree doesn't hurt getting you in the
No,
door places.
yeah, exactly.
That's really the
All
only
right,
reason I
Cody.
got my doctorate was because I was so young trying to get an administration.
Sure. Yeah.
Kept hearing experience wasn't issues.
Yeah.
I had to set myself apart a little bit by some standard.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree. All right, sir. I guess my final question is let me know. I'm happy to send you the recording of this. Again, for now, it lives just here, Cody. If I do go, let's say, to a YouTube platform, I'll circle back, ask for your permission to put it online, which obviously gives you guys more exposure, me more exposure.
Yeah,
But for now, it'll live locally here. So is that something you would want?
be great. You don't have to send it to me. You're good. You can keep
Okay.
it, and then if
Perfect.
something
And
gets
I'll let you
posted,
know.
then we're good to go. Yeah, we're good to
Okay.
go. Do you have anything to send me on Corvesa that we could have, and I can show my superintendent?
Yeah. Well, we have a website presence,
Oh, do you have a
and just
website? Okay, I got you. I
yeah,
can.
yeah, CorvessaPartners.com. Full disclosure, it's thin in terms of like, it's there and tells you what we do. But I'm happy to set up a time. Like for example, one of the schools we're working with, I have the AI website agent already done in a prototype form, and so I can show you guys that in terms of how it's
Yeah.
it's specific to their school and their website, but you would get a sense of how at least would work for you guys. So, but yeah, happy to touch base again about that.
Yeah, I found it. I'll show my superintendent for sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, talk later.